Now we are.
Now we are.
Become death. Oh, it's been a long time.
For what, Chrono Trigger or just...
Time. Ooh. Mainly, I'm forgetting what the mental map of controller buttons needs to be. Because it's not what the Xbox controller buttons pretend to be. And, hang on a second. I have a recollection of having already done this, so that means we didn't actually save in the last place.
No, I remember coming back here intentionally to save right after we got something done.
I don't. So, okay. I thought this is where we went. Yeah, we went here to fight the weird cave apes.
Yeah, but then didn't we go to like one of the other
I don't think
ones?
we beat the cave apes. That's where we just came from. So that's the time we're from is 1000. Ah! Well, I mean, that's where I was going to go. I just wanted to see all the options first. I have a recollection that this is where we were and we didn't get very far. And thus, we're going to have to be redoing. But then again, if we didn't get far, I suppose there's not a whole lot to redo.
Well, I don't know that I will have much of a salient thought, so I was hoping you could furnish us with a decent topic.
It's not probably a great one, but I wish to recant.
On what?
Now becoming a Mormon. No. It only occurred to me while I was editing, and it was an offhanded comment, so I'm really perhaps attempting to extract a bit much. But, okay, now I'm in a fight, so hang on.
These aren't cave apes. These are weird kangaroo dinosaurs.
Well, cave ape, we have to work our way back up to the cave ape. This combat system still stresses me out.
Why? I don't understand.
Because it's like it isn't a turn-based RPG thing the way you'd expect. It's like I actually have to keep active, and I can't. My attention can't really drift elsewhere because otherwise stuff still happens even without me.
I guess I didn't realize that either.
Anyways, so prepare for milking a minor thing into a topic, but maybe it'll turn into something. But what I wish to recant specifically is you made a very offhand short reference to the song Take Me to Church on one of these, and you said it was a good song, and I agreed, and I didn't know, I forgot what it was actually from. So it was when I was editing this, I was like, oh wait, no, that wasn't the song I thought. That was that other song.
Which one?
Because I was thinking, for some reason, I got it confused with Human by Rag and Bone Man, and I have no clue
that
why.
One's good.
And that's why so when you were like, oh, that's a great song, and I was like, well, yeah, everyone agrees. But that's the song that I had in mind, and then only when I was editing did I realize, hang on, that isn't it.
The other one? I mean,
Take Me to Church. Okay, here's the thing. Well made. Absolutely blasphemous.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'm not denying that.
And so that's kind of the crux of what I was going to get into, is because I thought there's only one other song.
Did you think I would somehow disagree that it was blasphemous?
No, not necessarily. Although I didn't know how much of this, how familiar with it you were.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily thinking that would be contentious, but I thought it was an interesting discussion, if only because there's only one other song I can think of. Not that's blasphemous.
Blasphemous.
No, but where the lyrics detract from what is otherwise a well-produced song. And I thought perhaps there was mileage in that if you had any similar examples. If you don't, we're going to run dry real quick.
No, I mean, there's definitely ones for sure.
And if anything, though, as I was thinking about it, it's all the more frustrating because it's a good song. Because it's like, wow, it's a real shame that you used your talents to promote this. And of course, we're courting controversy, I'm sure.
Well,
then again,
it's hardly controversial to say we're there's a
There's going to be definitely some people who don't. There's a large quantity of people who are going to think that even leveling an accusation like blasphemy is totally relevant. They're going to be like, well, who gives a crap?
Sure.
Like,
but
I don't think that they would disagree. I think they'd be like, yeah, that's the point, because it is the point.
It is, but I mean,
So-
I also don't know that
We are precisely
There
the
is
kind of people that song would be criticizing.
there is a resurgence, I believe, of even outside of religiosity, or I should say maybe more specifically,
I'm not certain it's outside of
Judeo-Roman
religiosity.
or Judeo-Christian value. I think there is a resurgence or a returning of pursuing moral value, because
I don't think that exists outside of a religious context.
I think by and large
Like-
the genuine the general, I could not put that word together.
You're
It's
in
like-
trouble there. You're having a stroke. Do you smell toast?
Remember what I talked about salient thought. The general populace, in my opinion, has become
That was close.
tired
Well, I
or
think we've
weary of the lack of any sort of substance.
Yeah, well, it's not even substance. It's,
Surety.
if anything, well, yeah, I think there's something about, it's a little bit like strange. I'm going to go in a strange direction. It's like the beginning of Jimmy Neutron, where it's like, okay, great.
What?
Well, no, I'll get somewhere with this.
Hear me out.
But it's like, okay, yeah, it's fun. The parents are gone, and so well, everyone's going to misbehave and do the
I see
things.
what you mean, yeah.
And then eventually, you kind of realize, okay, this actually isn't. This sucks. Like, yeah, it was fun for a bit, but now we actually kind of want the security and stability that believing in things used to give us. Because it's all well and good being irreverent and aloof and not caring, but eventually things just start falling apart when you're that way.
Well, yeah.
So I think that there is a sense of people
There was
waking up to that idea of like, here's the cave-ape who gropes at the air.
speaking of
Groping?
sacrilege. I'm just kidding. No, Jordan Peterson actually was on a podcast with Michaela recently and talked about this very thing. Well, I mean, in that they were talking about, they had a question about there was this traditional family that had raised, like, on a traditional values level, at least to some degree, their son, and now he's in this, like, he's had a wife for several, like 15 years or something like that, and then they ended up inviting this other individual that had a kid into their home, and now they're in a polyamorous relationship. And I'm like, well, that's K. And so one of the things that
I think you'll find it's not K.
Well, no, I mean, what Jordan Peterson points out, number one, he says, because the question was, how do we handle
I
this
just
as
realized I'm dead.
as
One of
parents, like, we're not wanting to affirm this, but we don't want to, now we don't want to not have a relationship with him or all this kind of thing. And
well, that would be his choice.
the bottom line is
Oh, we in a bad way.
that
We in a bad way. I wasn't paying attention to my health bar. Oh, here it comes. Hemorrhoids.
hemorrhoids come and she wants to lay down.
I don't have the healing abilities. Here I go. Here's a rhetorical... Oh, well, I'm not going to make the joke yet. I'll save it for when it's more apropos.
I've
I've been saving this joke for weeks.
Really?
Well, I mean,
It's not that good when it finally lands.
Oh, it probably won't be, but I mean, I think it's funny. We don't have to be as ginger with this because this controller's cord isn't a simpering mimsy. Jordan Peterson was saying something about
So
weird
anyway,
people.
he basically said, even if you, why am I not? Is A not A?
Of course not. That's just what I was saying.
Okay.
You have to pretend it's an SNES controller. I think we should just get a USB SNES controller because that would be great. Really, it's only A and B that are reversed. There's no switching controls if that's where you're going.
So, he talks about the idea that best case scenario, not only are you being selfish, but you're also putting yourself into a place
interesting
where
point.
you accept that, or you're expecting that culture accepts. What he gets at is, even if morality is taken out of the equation, normative is going to make you a pariah. Like you are.
What does that mean?
You're intentionally putting yourself in a place where anybody that has known you in the past or will know you in the future now has to basically square with this, or at least have some sort of an opinion on this. And it
You're gonna fight the chorus line of Charizards. Can you do
okay,
that?
so I don't know much about this attack
Have you not
system,
been?
and
Have we not been switching off this whole time?
Not really. Not as much.
Oh, well, I'm throwing you into the deep end. Yeah, you items and attacks and combinations, and keep an eye on your health. Just gonna heal myself. Screw y'all. The genie chick is the one who can heal people, and the other two are more attack based. The combinations is when you can use like multiple people's abilities. You can use the fire and ice and everything nice.
Why this isn't working?
This is what I'm telling you. This is what I've been dealing with. This is why I don't like this combat system. I understand this was early, so I mean I'm not going to criticize it because they wouldn't have known better at this point. This was like an experiment. So, experiment done. I think we can learn that this was no good. I don't see, again, this is what you're doing now is what you can't do, which is think that because it's a turn-based thing, you can just look away for a second. Because you will still get whipped. We're going to sit in stunned silence and appreciate the effort I have to put in to keep a conversation going when I'm doing this.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
This is why I die a lot, is because I'm not paying enough attention. I suppose back in 1995, if you were 8 years old and you had nothing else to play, you'd get good at this. Then again, when you were 8 years old, you wouldn't be having heady conversations about blasphemy, so unless you grew up in very different households, then again, you might be better off if you did. If you came from a very strict Russian Orthodox family. Well, you're down to 2.
I'm not doing terribly, but I'm certainly not doing great.
Well, your health's fine. I mean, the thing about this is you never know which enemies are going to just wreck your day. Because some of them you have to use the special combo abilities in order to take them down faster. I think some of them you could just get by with what you're doing, which is just spamming attack until they're all dead. But then if you get reliant on doing that, eventually you'll run up across the cave ape.
Well, obviously, like, these are just low-level, like, people that are just wandering about, so it's not like they're going to put up much of a fight, but...
Well, they're putting up something.
They're not putting me up.
What do you reckon? What do you reckon that thing on their head is?
It's the mating call of the
That is the cry of the deep tutu bird.
We got 8 tech points. Who knows what that is?
And 1 horn. It's not what you think.
The hoe's just got another level.
Because of the horn. The hoe has leveled up.
horn.
The hoe has leveled up in horn. Her horn stat has increased.
He's a horn dog now. Okay. So
Blasphemy, and people think what's with this polyamorous people?
So he basically said you're not going to be able to live in a vacuum within that context, obviously, and so it's to act like number one, it's not going to work for you, is what he essentially said. He said, even though right now you're embracing what is essentially like, hey, I want to temporarily engage in my own pleasure and think.
Was he talking to this family or their parents?
The parents.
Okay.
But he said basically the sentiment of polyamory in the first place is flawed because it's not sustainable at all. And what he basically gets at is that not only historically but throughout all of history, that there is a consistent design for how... Oh,
You can avoid some of them. It's a little bit like Pokemon, where if you don't touch them, you won't get into a fight.
Where am I actually going?
I've been going up to the north to where the cave ape is, because I can only presume.
Let's go down here and find out.
Well, I don't know how to get into there. Eventually, I imagine we're going to go into whatever this cave system is, but it seems to be shrouded with hedges.
It's protected by a hedge. It's a hedge of protection, if you will.
Where does that terminology come from?
It's a...
Because it's weird, and the question is, why is it stuck? It must come from someone that we think is worth quoting, if we keep it around. No, go back there.
I don't know that it's directly biblical.
I don't think it is, but then what is it? Oh, it's from the north, where you wouldn't notice. Oh, okay. Is that a thing on that tree, or is that just the trees is well endowed?
What are you on about? Are you talking about its bollocks down here?
Well, I mean, something's growing and spiny.
If he's got spiny bollocks, I think he needs to go in.
It could be it's a natural defense.
Is it?
I mean, wouldn't you?
I think I'm gonna.
I'm
gonna say that next time.
If you had points in evolution, wouldn't you sink some into spiny?
No. I'm not trying to be amorous. It's a defense mechanism. It's terrible.
I'm just saying, if evolution gave you some experience points, would you put some of them towards spiny bits?
I mean, it's supposed to be a maze. I understand, but I'm not seeing.
I think you have to interact with the bollocks.
Well, it's not. I mean, it's not giving me any sort of bollock interaction options.
I forgot about Wanker. Wait, what? How can we replace people? What did you press to do this?
Why?
Can we just do this at any point in the game? Can we, teleport our friends from beyond time and space? That would be useful to know, because otherwise Wanker's going to get stuck in beyond time and space.
All right, well...
You're seeing how hard it is to keep a conversation going with this game.
Not the wanking tree. I don't know what's going on over
it's
there.
Shel Silverstein's very strange sequel that no one was prepared for. Everyone was like, hey, Shel, that was a real great kid's book. What do you got in mind for us next?
Oh, my gosh. That caught me off guard. Wow. This is not a children's book.
You are not prepared for this. What is it?
It's about 10 pounds of meat.
We don't need to go into the meeting site.
Can I get in here? No.
You want to get in between those cracks? Is that what you're after?
Well, I gotta close up.
Just meet with the cave ape. It's your destiny.
It is your destiny.
Now, I have a hypothetical for you when you interact with this guy. I am going to ruin it by too much setup, but I'm still going to stick with it. Question is, does a cave ape shist in the woods?
And does it make a sound when he
Oh, well, it knocks you clean out when he does it. Careful, kids. If you go into the woods, the cave ape is known.
Shist you dead.
He's known for his hemorrhoids, and they are potent. They knocked 2 of you out. You're about to get knocked for 3. You got help heal the other 2. It's too late.
Can't.
Well, the answer is yes. And he does it on you. Whoop. Don't tell me this one's going to be giving us trouble. I heard dingle-dongling.
So anyway, he basically says that it's not even outside of a moral level.
The point is you
not
have to
sustainable
take a
health-wise.
stand. Well, okay.
Yeah, humankind is not built for that. And so it's a foolish endeavor to try to act like, and this is what happens when we buck design for the sake
But
of...
who are you to tell us what design is? I'm speaking for the inevitable idiot.
Well, the reality is design speaks for itself.
I suppose true enough. But then again, that means design is the oppressor. The idea that I can't do whatever I want because reality will get in my way.
Therein lies
That's
Satanists'
that's liberalism for
God.
you. Ooh, I didn't think that would work. This one I don't think will work. Oh, and I forgot. If you don't fight them up there, you have to fight them down here. I am going to rip y'all a new one. 6 new ones coming up. Lightning, ice. We're going elemental. You can just attack. You're not special. How was that going to tie back into what I was talking about with blasphemy and
Well, I was
music?
talking about the return of...
Return of people caring.
Compass.
Yeah, but I don't know that I would go so far as to say it's a return of morality yet. I think it could certainly become one, but I think the fact of the matter is, it's more of a. I think I think people have come to the realization that absolute freedom isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Right.
And the two solutions to that are you either have to double down, and that's when you get to the absolute freedom means freedom from reality itself, which is certainly part of what we're dealing with. And then the other half is, okay, no, maybe some constraints are actually good. And I think I don't think that those constraints are inevitably going to take a moral form for everyone.
No, that's exactly my point.
Well, so I don't know that it's fair to call it a rise of morality as much as a rise of
pursuit of
meaning, purpose, responsibility, something beyond yourself.
Okay, so maybe responsibility is a good word for it, but
so I think you have people who are recognizing that actually absolute freedom kind of just makes you a child, because those are the only people who are free.
But then we have this endemic, which is happening in our current culture, where you have an entire generation that skipped the teaching process, and there are quite literally adults now that
don't know how to read. It's true. I'm not even making that up. I am citing sources.
Oh, I know, but I just think that's funny that you went to there. I mean, it's a good metric, sure, but you have essentially a Lord of the Flies situation, quite literally, where adults that are no more adults than their own children are raising children, and they don't know how because they are children themselves.
Yeah, because they weren't raised. Bad way, we is in it.
So then you have,
there it goes.
Legitimately, you have the YouTube raised generation.
Dadgummit, I need health. No, revive the healer lady. She was right about to heal everyone before that happened. Jigglypuff. That's not the right Pokemon, but you know what I'm getting at. Give us. Why can't you use this ability?
It's Jigglypuff that you're talking about. Or are you talking about Clefairy?
I'm talking about whichever one looks like a sheep. An anthropomorphic sheep. I am in a bad way.
You're talking about the one with the weird kangaroo eggs.
I ain't got a clue what I'm talking about. I'm talking about something I glimpsed as an 8-year-old. I don't think I'm certain about what I'm...
conversations that could start with that.
I'm simply saying I know that there's a Pokemon that vaguely resembles this, and I have no... That's all I know. We're just getting stuck in a loop of reviving. Everyone revives the person to the left.
Well, we all die.
And no one's attacking, which means these things are just going to keep wrecking our day. All right, Blaze of Glory. Nope. Blaze indeed, but no glory. Blaze without glory. Nope. Well. You want another chance at this, or?
You can go again, because that was a sad excuse. No, I personally think that the people are returning to tradition, whether that's, again, religious tradition or whether that's cultural tradition or I'm going to sound real caste system here, but whether that's even economic tradition where it's like, okay, people are realizing that strata and
nope, didn't work.
Structure, it was actually an important thing.
Well, I made this comment a while back, and you seemed unconvinced. There was a video I watched of someone who
I seemed unconvinced. I'm the one that says we ought to bring back the fact that there used to be lords and ladies, and then
I've never heard you say this publicly. Wow. And are you content only with yourself in one of those strata, or are you just content?
No, I'm not. Here's the thing. I've never been I've never had a problem with the idea that structure would exist. My issue is that somebody couldn't change their station.
Well, but that's the nature of such a system, though. Because here's the point I was getting at is someone, I forget what context it was of the video that I saw, but he was essentially arguing that like there is a downside to meritocracy people don't talk about, is that yes, it means someone who works hard can elevate themselves, they can change their social status. The problem is eventually, over a long enough period of time, all the people that can will, and then you end up with totally rigid, like the argument he made, and it wasn't a great one, admittedly, but and he even said this, like, not that this makes it a great system, a more rigid sort of social structure, but he's just saying we have to accept that this had a purpose, where he's saying if you were a capable individual, but you are still of a lower class, you would then become sort of, the classes sort of sub-classify themselves. Right. So you might still be a working man, but you could potentially become like a foreman or the highest individual in a low class.
Well, it's
and so you would
Shelby's whole argument, like I'm not.
Well, that's not a great example because, except that he pretty much was.
He was not, though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
he accomplished everything that he did within the context of his working class.
No, within the context of crime.
Well, sure, but
the point he was making is those people then became role models essentially for their classes. So it's like this is the best that our kind of class can become, is those kind of people, and therefore they exerted a certain amount of influence on their sphere because they were seen as, not sure what the word would be. It feels a bit unspecific to be like they're the good ones, but that's sort of the point. Now, the problem he's saying is if you have a true meritocracy where people can leave their class just simply by their own work, those people then will eventually move to the higher classes, and then the lower classes will be populated entirely with people who are just incapable of changing their station.
But that's their own fault, in my opinion.
No, because the problem is this is why it's an unpopular opinion, is because it basically comes down to, it's like, there is a certain genetic component where it's like eventually all the people that can will leave, and all the people that will be left are those that genuinely can't.
Ill-bred.
And then they have no, because they have no internal role model structure. There won't even be the example of like you could be like this guy. It's just we're all incapable of being better. And then when you have an entire social group that is literally incapable of improving, that results in social issues.
Does it though?
Yes, because it's one thing to have problems with lower social strata that aren't well regulated, but when you take the people out of it who are capable of regulating it, who are going to be the competent people who can change their class if they don't choose, you will end up with a totally unregulated low class, and that's the problem.
They're regulated by the upper class.
Well, no, they won't be, because they will reject the upper class. They will always review the upper class as opposed to them.
Which is what's happening now.
And I think that's sort of part of the problem is that, and it's a fallacious thing to say, well, because you're not like us, therefore you can't, dictate to us what's right. It's like, well, that's not accurate philosophically or otherwise.
Agreed.
But the problem is people who believe that way won't be convinced. So you can't.
They don't have to be convinced. They are.
Well, okay. You could attempt to. I didn't mean to do this. You could attempt to enforce your will upon them, and then they will resent that, and then you get Marxism. Marxism is what happens when the qualified betters attempt to dictate morality to the lower class. And I'm now going to permanently out myself as a white Russian. Yes. I am anti-Bolshevik. I am pro-white army. But yeah, that's the issue. Is essentially his argument was it did at least serve a social purpose where
Well, I think that highlights
qualified, capable people being trapped within a class at least meant that class had a certain regulated
But
structure.
you're missing something, which is that meritocracy ultimately redounds to
I'm not-
the same thing, which is that it will be stratified eventually.
No, but it will be sub-stratified is the point. You're saying you might be a smart, capable, responsible individual, and that is and his argument was that's as much nurture as it is nature. There are people who are going to be just like, your genetic lottery says you're smart. Good for you. Now, his point was, if you have a rigid social structure, those people will get born in every class, but if they can't leave their class, they then will act as sort of sub-stratifying members of their own class. So you would have, even amongst the low class, you would have the intelligent, the responsible, the sort of, I guess, the nobility, as it were, of the low class.
Sure.
You'd have your local foreman, the local constable. These are people who are still low class, but their example at least helped regulate the behaviors of the lower class. Because if you were a parent in a low class household, you could at least be, pointing to those people and, as it were, he makes the example. It's like that could be the example that you'd like your kids to follow. Say, you want to be like that guy because he's on the straight and narrow. He's making his way. Even if that means he's not going to make his way all the way, he is sub-stratifying the class such that it isn't the upper class being entirely competent nobility and the lower class being entirely incompetent underground. Because the point is, once you have that level of stratification where each class contains no mixing, then you end up with basically none of the classes can interact with each other because there will be no common ground. And again, I'm not necessarily taking his position. I just think he was making a point that no one ever has made, or at least not that I've heard, and I think is valuable. Where it's like that. There is something to be said for that. As oppressive as a totally rigid class structure might seem, there is social utility in it. I don't think I can avoid the cave ape schisting in the woods. Maybe I can. Nope. Okay. Gotta actually focus. Maybe we're getting this wrong. Maybe his name is Schist. It's just a cave ape named Schist.
Cave schist?
All right, healing. Who needs healing? Let's give it to him now before it's too late. Oh, too late. Well, I'm
Sorry about your Uncle Fred, but he just dropped it.
Okay, got it. Ah, his body slamming peoples. Why is it taking so long? Aura, give us the aura. Why do you not have aura? Okay, revive this chick before it's too late. It's going to be too late soon. I suppose what I ought to do is heal before this all happens. I should heal myself before I get into this fight, because this guy hits very hard. But see, now, problem is I can't heal in the fight because I'm just going to end up healing repeatedly, and then he's going to beat me, and I'm going to have to heal myself again. Okay, I can attempt to spare a revive tool. No.
I mean, the whole point of the movie My Fair Lady was that it was possible to take somebody of the lower class and nurture them into being upper class.
I am not familiar with the film, so it is an old film, and I've not watched it. Not that that's a judgment in and of itself. I'm just saying it has not come around to me yet. I'm just going to get stuck in a cycle where I'm reviving people and he's going to beat the crap out of me, and it's just... Aura whirl! Aura! Everybody needs it! This better do whopping great healing. Woo! Whopping. Okay, let's do it again, actually. Let's whop some more. Whop. Whop us all. She's not getting healed despite the fact that she should. Okay, now we're at least in slightly better straits. You now need to attack his face. I am out of the revivery! That's exactly what I was afraid of. Okay, well, I guess we're just going to have to focus all our effort on this guy until he's dead. And I'm already almost down. You attack him and you give him the good feels. Oh, too late. This thing sucks a lot. Well.
I mean, I'm not suggesting that it's the best thing to... I guess I'll come at it from the opposite end, the upper class end first. There were people within the upper class that when they did not behave or follow the social etiquette and structure of the upper class, they became lower class slowly over generations because of the fact that not
in the way,
because they weren't able to marry as well, and then they ended up losing station. And
there again, but that's part of it's a stratification within the stratification. So there were well-respected people amongst the higher class, and there were lower respected people, but they were still high class. They were still the nobility. The point of nobility is that it's irrevocable. You can have a bad reputation, but as long as you're still Lord what's-his-name, people can't...
If you lose all your money and yet you are still of noble blood, you would still no longer be noble. Yeah.
But that didn't happen as much as you might think. Because the whole point of nobility is it would... because the thing is, nobility also has familial. It's like you wouldn't have been the only noble in your family. So if you were acting out, your family would have to exert force on you.
Yes.
So it would be entirely possible for like a brat kid essentially to be like disowned, but that doesn't change the fact that
disowned. But that means that obviously now he's...
Yeah, but that's them individually though, and they weren't. I mean, the noble line continues even if one kid gets kicked out. So it's not like the whole family can be brought down, is I guess the point.
Sure.
The nobility can't, that nobility as nobility can't really lose its station. That's sort of the point of nobility.
I don't know.
Anyway, this isn't even the point of what we were getting at.
I'm just saying, you and I have talked about social etiquette before. It's one of my pet peeves because I think that by and large, most people now just completely do away with any sort of expectation of structure or social normative.
Oh, because no one's got balls.
Well, I've got balls, you can see. Yeah, I do.
Well, don't show them to me. Come on. Well, anyway, so we get back to the actual song. Is that what we were...
Yeah. So I would say many of Owl City's songs, I feel like, are that way to me.
What? That's taking a turn?
No.
I don't think he's blasphemous in any way.
No. He's not blasphemous. You were talking about songs that lyrically were not that good.
No, okay. I don't just mean by taste. I mean by, like, this is actually objectively wrong. Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Meaning, like,
it's not just like senseless lyrics. Like, okay, but even then, I mean, I'm not that bothered by that.
No.
I like They Might Be Giants, and they're all about senseless lyrics, but they actually still managed to make some good songs out of that. So, that's not what I was getting at. My point was, it's actually sad when a good song is what you would consider abhorrent. And maybe if you don't have as much, like, maybe you don't think that happens as much.
Maybe I just don't care as much.
Maybe.
Sure
Do you not? That's what I figured it would make an interesting topic.
Many things on my playlist are not the
Well, because here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. I can appreciate, there's plenty of songs that are basically like, I'm a tough son of a gun, don't mess with me, and I'll mess you up kind of things. It's like, okay, this is not a positive message, but I can understand the place for this kind of content. I'm not gonna act like every song needs to be kumbaya.
Songs that are like, as long as you have them in the right context as well, you can listen to them and go, yeah.
What are you talking?
Well, I'm saying sexually. I mean,
okay.
there are songs.
Well, sure, but that's my point. Is it's like,
and it's like, well, I mean, if they're in the right context, I suppose.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. But my point is that's the point. Is it's like this isn't just this is something actually Michael Knowles was talking about in a recent video. Randomly, I'm going to reference him.
I don't love Michael.
I like him more than any of the others I found.
Really?
Yes.
I really do not.
Well, that's weird. Because I don't like Matt Walsh, who I know you like.
He's a little edgy intentionally.
Yeah, and just I find annoying, actually. It's like, okay.
He gets a little bit obnoxious.
It's almost like your irreverence is for its own sake sometimes. It's like, it's one thing to be satirical, to draw attention to a genuine problem. It's another thing to just be aloof and too cool for school, which I kind of get from him sometimes.
No, that's
Michael, I appreciate because he actually seems very genuine. It's like, these are my opinions, and I may not be right, but this is just what I think. And I appreciate that rather than trying to be like, everything's a point.
Yeah.
I need to heal up if I can remember how that's done. Alrighty. Whew. Okay, this is changing equipment. I don't want to change equipment. Oh, I got plenty of these. Use this on someone. Her. A bunch. Everybody, actually. Everybody drink up. I mean, I got plenty of these things. Not anymore. Well, actually, I still have plenty of these things. Okay. Now I feel a little bit better. I forgot. What was he? I was quoting him. I was about to quote him on something, and I forget. Talking about... Oh, there are taboos which are still within the established norms. In essence, there are deviant behaviors that actually are viewed as deviant because they're opposed, or not opposed to. They don't challenge the framework. They're simply kind of playing. It's a little bit like, I know that this is taboo or this is sort of socially, inappropriate, and that's why I'm doing it. So it's like even that level of deviance is still a part of the structure.
Sure.
Whereas there's another kind of deviance, which is actually, no, we're upending the structure, and what society says is bad is actually good. It's like being a punk was, as much as it was attempting to be countercultural, it was simply the opposite side of the same coin. It's like, yes, the whole reason we're being this way is because society deems it to be bad. It's like, we're not trying to argue that it's not bad, we're just trying to be, quote, bad. Whereas it's another thing to say, actually, no, this thing that we consider bad is actually good, and we're going to promote it as though it should be something you're proud of.
Right.
And so a song that's like, okay, and a lot of hip-hop has always been this, where it's like, okay, I'm obviously chasing whatever vice, but it's like, okay, but there is still a sense of like, watch out for me, I'm wild, and I don't... there was, even in its being a vice, promoting quote-unquote vice, it wasn't subverting the moral order. It was simply saying, we all deviate from perfect morality in some ways.
Sure.
Whereas there is, and I think, again, the song that we're talking about is literally, no, actually, we're the right ones. We're not, we're turning your morality on its head. And we think we actually are trying to stand in judgment of you. And it's like, okay, this is actually, again, blasphemous is literally the only word for it. All right, we're going to keep healing up. That's what we have to do. So that's, I don't know. Do you not care as much? You ever find yourself in that situation where you're like, this isn't, like, this actually interrupts my ability to appreciate the song because I'm like that opposed to what it's promoting? Or is this just me?
Well, I mean, how often are you like? What?
Well, I can think of only 2 songs actually. We've already one of them is the one we're already talking about. Not on as much a moral, more on an ideological level. The other one is I've talked to you about this one. It's Misfit Toys from the Arcane soundtrack, which is a great song. It's just pro-Marxist. And I'm like, it's a shame that this is such a good song because it is just blatantly pro-Marxist. And it's like, this actually gets in the way of my enjoyment of it because I fundamentally disagree with its premises. Hey! We got him. Now, if I remember correctly, these things can still do that, which is unsavory on a number of levels. Don't let it spread its gaping sphincter.
Don't say.
Strictly speaking, that is what that is. There are multiple sphincters in the body. All a sphincter is a muscle which controls an orifice. So I'm not being in any way inappropriate.
Okay.
That is simply what that would have to be called biologically.
So when I purse my lips, does that make my...
Yes, your mouth is a sphincter.
Is it now?
Yes. You have that. There's also...
You sound a little bit like the human centipede guy.
No, that is biologically, that is the definition of a sphincter. Is just any muscle which controls the opening and closing of an orifice. There's many throughout the body. Obviously, there's the 2 famous ones at the beginning and at the end. There's many along the way, too. I am hurt. Give him the juice. I don't know what I'm doing. Well, care to comment? 0! Okay, so lightning doesn't hurt rocks. I suppose I should have known about that. That's Pokemon logic for you. I guess it tracks to a certain extent.
I'm trying to think of anything that would have been something I didn't listen to because of that.
I'm not necessarily going as far as to say it's like, well, you just don't listen to it, but it's like, it actually detracts. I would like this song better if it didn't promote Marxism. Is like that. Do you ever have yourself thinking that or similar? I'll take that as a no.
Yeah, no, I mean, nothing's coming to mind right this second.
Okay, well. Like I said, I wasn't sure how much would get out of it, but it just occurred to me because... Well, first I wanted to recant, and I'd have to say, no, I don't necessarily think that that's that great a song. Catchy, which is part, but then it's all, the reason why I think it's interesting, though, this phenomenon, is that the better the song is, the more it actually annoys me.
Yeah.
So that's where the difficulty comes. Okay. Weird, fat-lipped lizard men. Something tells me I'm going to have to fight them. Avian Rex. Oh, didn't we make a joke about this before? Scooby-Doo joke.
I don't recall.
Well, you repressed it. Why does everything like throwing and dropping us? Oh, a hoe's gonna have to do a lot of saving. Save us! Okay. Bad times, bad times.
Speaking of sacrilege in music, though, did you see that the Elevation Church was at the... I can't remember which one is which. Is it the Grammys?
Grammys is for music, I think.
Yeah. They actually won some sort of something at the Grammys, and it was like...
How is that sacrilege?
There were some people that were like, this seems weird. Why would...
Well, what was it for, I suppose, is the question.
It was for one of their songs. I can't remember, but it was like at the general Grammys, not...
Dadgummit.
They were literally... It's like, this was at the Grammys, and the guy's like, we thank you so much, and something about, you have to... It was a very just quick, you got to know Jesus because he is love and all this other stuff.
Well, I mean, that's at least something.
Well, I mean, he was trying at least to point towards. But then it's like you're also
pearls before swine and all that, but
stage with Satanists.
Well, but I mean, where else should you be?
Sure.
The argument could be made.
Sure.
If you have the opportunity to, I mean, again, pearls before swine and all that, but someone's got to say it to him.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't follow that kind of news. I don't find it much to be news.
Okay, this is going to be a fun one for you.
No, I don't think so. I think I disagree with that assessment. Starting to see why we got bogged down with this. Either that or I'm just horrible at knowing what my abilities are and which ones I should use. That is entirely plausible. Okay. I want to use my fire ability. That'll get multiple at once. She can keep us healing. Whoa! Okay. Gotta be using more of that. Well, apparently you're not so ideologically persnickety as me, apparently, about music.
Or I just have a less broad...
I would doubt that's the case.
Well, I mean, it's possible. There are several of my songs that I don't know that I would immediately be like, yeah, I agree with that, but...
Okay, it's not about agreeing. It's about, I suppose, the level of disagreement. Because again, I can appreciate a song. There's a certain utility to a song that's like, okay, this is, for lack of a better term, a sort of Peaky Blinders-esque gangster song where it's
Sure.
like, because there's an element of being able to channel that mindset, obviously, is something you wouldn't do all the time. But that's actually an ability that would serve you in certain contexts. Whereas the upending of moral order is like, no, that's not appropriate ever.
Well, and
that's what I'm getting at.
That's
is
what
that
Peterson was getting at with this whole polyamory thing, which is like, it's more than just a breakdown in moral etiquette. This is actually a turning away from human survival as a whole.
Come on, that's got to do it for him. There we go. See it? Well, yeah, I tell you, the trouble with that thing is it works while it's on, but because of the insulation factor, it just goes away once you have to turn it off.
I mean, yeah, it's...
Well, so you're saying you don't know that it's never occurred to you?
The music thing?
Well, no, I'm just saying you seem to be saying either you can't think of a song that's like that, or maybe you just don't care.
I don't know that I can think of a song in like right offhand that I went, eh. Oh, actually, I take that back. There was a song. I tend to be what most people would probably consider to be a bit of a emotive, like hopeless romantic when it comes to the songs I listen to, especially on a alternative level when I listen to that kind of music. But there was one song in particular that came on my playlist that I was like, even if you had no qualms with this on a moral level, you still know this is BS. And it was like this song about, we're gonna be okay even though like our lives fell apart, and it was literally like about the breakdown of a marriage and a family and the fact that they were going to be okay in spite of it. And I was like, no, there's definitely going to be some not okay things. Your kids aren't going to be okay, I promise you that.
What song is this?
I don't know that I'm going to be able to furnish the name of it, and it's obnoxious because I lost it off my playlist fairly quickly on Spotify because it was one of those like play things that are similar to my Spotify playlist, and this one came on and it was like, no.
we have talked about this, which you didn't. We seem to have different criteria for when a song falls into this category, but there are definitely songs which I consider to be like girl empowerment ballads, whether they are from a female perspective or not, which is essentially just songs that are like, I'm great as I am and I don't need nobody. And it's like, I find those distasteful as well. I'm just like, this just, again, it comes down to the same thing of like, you just come across as a child.
Right.
You don't, I don't think you've dealt with any hardship in your life if this is what your output is like. Talking about how great you are and how you don't need nothing. It's like, okay.
Okay.
If that's
right,
true,
we won't give you nothing.
it's like if that were true, which I don't believe it is, but even if it were, that would just make you fundamentally uninteresting.
Right. Well, and that's essentially what, like, when I hate to continue redounding this or bringing it back to this, but
It's
again,
rule number 4, isn't it?
Gets all this whole context within that conversation where he basically says, if you've now literally built your entire life around how people frame you within your identity in this context, it's a fairly boring and kind of like, okay.
26.
Well,
How does that
less
not?
of you now.
Does fire hurt the rocks?
Giving you the roids.
Does no element at all hurt rocks? Nothing, it seems. What's the Pokemon strategy here? What hurts rock types? Water? Probably water.
I wouldn't imagine water.
You wouldn't?
No.
Well, water damages rock in real life.
Well,
Who's got the ice ability? I mean, it seems that elements at all might not work, which is also possible. So maybe I just gotta whack 'em one. Well, we're all doing alright on health and the cave ape is dead, so... Now I just have to survive the weird floating fish lip men. And, well, this should be fine. Well, we got enough out of that to justify my bringing it up, I suppose, so... Let's move on. Can we move on? Have you anything to move on with? Oh, I should have used her to heal.
kind of been a bit.
Unless this kills that thing. It doesn't get the healing. Get it now. No! And I used it on the wrong person because the person I wanted is gone. I had another topic, I think, but I can't look at my list right now. It was, again, a sort of fairly minor... Everyone just beat this guy. I'm tired of him. If I can get through this fight, I might be able to look it up. Heavens to Betsy, this thing's hard. There you go. I mean, fair enough, he's a rock. I suppose he's committed to the bit, but still. Okay.
I'm looking for things to...
Well, I'm going to look up what my list was. It was something equally minor.
Well, sometimes you got our majors and sometimes you got your minors.
Well, I managed to get an hour-ish out of the one. I mean, we did go on a heavy set of detours, but we got back to it in the end. Oh, no, I didn't really. I could talk about this, if only because I feel that there maybe needs to be some... I don't know, penance on my part. I feel like I've been hypocritical.
Oh, so?
Well, they are evidently making a sequel to the Tron remake, which wasn't really a remake. I guess it's technically, I mean, I guess they're all sequels to the original.
Sure.
I mean, Revolutions was the show. Tron Legacy was, I guess, sort of a spiritual remake, but also a sequel. And effectively, they're attempting to do that again. And I admit, with as cynical as I am about such things, typically, there was a part of me that was like, and then I checked myself and had to self-flagellate because I realized that I thought something might be interesting, and that's not allowed in my worldview. No, not that. This, please, before dadgummit. I need to just heal before every dang fight, it seems. Yeah, him. oh, is he going to be able to do it before she uses her ability? And will thus... Oh, she's not going to use her ability. Why is she not? Not her, dadgummit, I chose the wrong person. So yes, I apparently need to confess that I was momentarily hopeful. I don't even know that I'd go so far as to say hopeful. I was not immediately dismissive, which I normally would be. And evidently I felt as though I needed to confess this.
What were you not immediately dismissive of?
Of this Tron sequel they're going to make, evidently. I'm gonna die.
Just the fact that you would potentially see that? Or?
Well, here's my defense, if I may offer it. The reason why I had a slight glimmer of non-cynicism is there was a part of me that thought, okay, if this was a cynical cash grab, I don't think this is how they do it. Okay, these things just suck buttons. The Tron Legacy movie was not so successful as to be a guaranteed cash cow for milking. So the fact that they're doing that sort of suggests that someone, I guess two possibilities. One is that someone actually has an idea and they're like, hey, I really like that movie and I have this idea for how it could continue. And they'd like to do it. And so if there is someone with a genuine vision behind it, that makes me hopeful. I suppose it could also be taken even more cynically, which is that Disney's so scraping the barrel so hard that they're reaching down to even relatively non-significant. It wasn't exactly a flop, but it was not a cultural heavy hitter. So, I don't know. The fact that they're doing it, I was like, this is not the obvious bankable solution for an easy reboot.
Sure.
So there's at least a part of me that was like, maybe someone actually cares about the story and wants to tell an interesting continuing story. But then again, from what I can tell, it seems to retcon all of Tron Legacy anyways. So, somehow the grid is still around and the programs manage to get into the real world somehow. So, however they're going to square that, I have no clue. Simply because, I suppose that's the other thought, is just because they have even if it is someone who has a vision behind, the story, doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good one. But anyways, I wanted to also contrast this, though, against the How to Train Your Dragon movie, which annoys me on principle alone.
Well, his whole argument was these
Who's
movies
him?
have done, the director, was that these movies have been done so badly, repeatedly, that he wanted to stick as close to the actual movie as he could.
Okay, what are we talking about?
How to Train Your Dragon movie.
What was done badly about those?
No, he's saying the remakes.
Oh!
Live action remakes.
Okay, no, I don't buy this, sorry.
That's what he said.
No.
He basically said in the past these have not gone over well, and he believed it was because people adjusted too much of the actual storyline.
No, disagree. Actually, I think he's wrong about that.
Well,
I mean, on one part of there's a part of me that's completely cynical that's even his actual opinion. Secondly, let's take.
Why would he say it then?
Because the studio told him to.
Well, maybe.
But taking that as at face value, I think that's the wrong premise. I don't think the reason remakes fail is because they change things. I think the reason remakes fail is it's an awkward. Here's the awkward situation I find myself in. And honestly, what it comes down to for me is I just think it's very rare that a remake is ever justifiable. Because the fact of the matter is, if you're going to remake a film, you have to change things, because otherwise, why are you doing it? My opinion, especially with How to Train Your Dragon, because that, on the opposite end of the spectrum, that is the obvious, let's get on board this remake cash cow and milk one of our more profitable, successful properties. That is the property you would remake if you wanted an easy cash grab. So that's why I'm cynical that even is his opinion. Secondly, and what I have heard people say about it is that it is basically just a copy paste of, we took all the scenes from the original and we did them in live action, which to me is that's almost more useless. Like, I'd rather you not do it at all. But if you're going to do it, I'd rather you actually attempt to change it in such a way that you believe it improves it. And again, the gold standard for this, sadly, is the very first one that Disney ever did, which is the Cinderella remake, which is the only one that was worthwhile. Because Cinderella, in my opinion, was one of the most milquetoast of the original classic Disney films. So the remake changed quite a lot and made it a lot more interesting. I'm not paying attention and I'm dying again.
I don't remember enough about the original or the remake Cinderella.
It was better, in my opinion, because it added a lot of depth. The fact that the prince's name is Prince Charming, I think, should tell you everything you need to know about the original and how it lacked for any kind of character depth. It's about as fairy tale stories get. That's why it's been told 8 million times in different forms. But it made it so that you got the chance to see Cinderella's life before her parents died, which I think makes it a whole lot more poignant. It makes her enduring the awful treatment a lot more reasonable, because I think part of the original story is like, why would this chick put up with this? And why does she do it seemingly so... Like, she sort of takes it in stride more than I think a person in that situation would. She's just kind of like, okay, this is my life. Whereas, the remake Cinderella kind of does, but for reasons that are sympathetic, where it's like this is her family's home, and she doesn't just want to up and leave simply because she's being mistreated. It's like, okay, there's a nobility in that makes it all the more poignant. And then I think it's actually one of the few films in which a father-son dynamic is portrayed very well. And it's like, that's actually a positive, because oftentimes father-son dynamics in films only exist for the point of conflict. And it's like, this manages to thread the needle where it's like, yes, there is father-son conflict, but it's of a genuine and healthy sort, where it's essentially what discipline and maturation's all about. Sure. So it's like the dad's not just a jerk for the sake of being a plot device. It's like, no, he's trying to teach his son how to be a man, but also he cares about him, and you can see that genuinely. So again, I just think that was an example where they changed the story a lot, I think, actually fairly significantly, but they made it better in so doing. And if you're not going to change things and make them better, what are you going to do? Because I think actually if you just copy-paste and turn it into live action, that's worse. I guess worse would be what they do to things like Snow White, where you change it and make it worse as well. But I don't know. Here's the issue that I have, and I think the fundamental premise or assumption or assertion or whatever word would best fit, is if you're going to do what they did for How to Train Your Dragon, we're going to say we're going to change absolutely nothing except we're going to make it live action instead of now I'm forgetting, animated. What that is suggesting is that the only thing wrong with the original is that it was animated. And it's like, I disagree with that assumption. Why is that a bad thing? Because again, if you're going to remake it, why wouldn't you improve it? And if the only thing you're going to change is going from animation to live action, that seems to imply that going from animation to live action is an improvement. And it was the only one you thought this film needed. It's like, well, I fundamentally disagree with that premise. You going to chime in here at any point, or am I just going to be on my soapbox alone?
No, I'm still just perusing my own notes to see whether there's anything of note that I could add, but the thing is, I have almost entirely, barring my own children's interaction with stuff, as far as media, I have not particularly pursued my own desires of what I want to see and what I don't want to see recently. Just because I find nothing to be of worth my time.
Well, but you can't.
You
gotta at least try, because otherwise you just give up.
There's a new Superman movie coming out. Is that one something you're gonna
no?
Seeing? And why not?
Because I've never been a fan of Superman is the thing. If I was, I might consider it. Generally, I confess that I rarely would go see a movie because I'm curious about the concept. That ship has mostly sailed these days. generally, if I'm going to go see something, it is usually because I sort of wait for a certain amount of critical review to happen. And I sort of, I guess I let other people suffer on my behalf. And I won't see anything unless other people deem it to be actually good.
But then you don't, by and large, you don't trust other people's opinions anyway. So how does?
Well, no, I trust certain people's opinions. I don't just trust like the general public's, but like there are people who review films who think about films clearly the same way I do, and so I can generally trust their opinion, or at least.
Who are those people?
The critical drinkers one, who is I'm sure going to make me seem like exactly the kind of fuddy-duddy I am. It's like basically he's just a cynical Scotsman who hates most modern films. So it's like, okay, if he likes a movie, then there's a chance that it's actually pretty good. Trying to think. I mean, that's the only one who I would say where I sort of trust his opinions as just him.
Extrapolations that are almost like, for instance, because I understand what you mean as far as remakes and sequels or whatever that have not specifically been needed or even add much to the story. What about things like The Continental, the show that literally is like set within the context of John Wick? I'm fairly confident at one point he has like a cameo.
I haven't actually heard about this. Oh. I knew that they were making a spin-off movie about some random ballerina chick who I don't remember.
That one is also related, yes.
I don't remember her being in the film, so I have no clue how it's in the John Wick universe, but apparently it is.
But the Continental is like actually with the same hotel with the same like props. The one main guy, the black guy, what's his name?
He's dead, isn't he?
Well, this is This is again when the Continental was first getting started.
But I mean the actor is dead. So how are they making this?
It's younger.
Oh, okay. I was like, if they got him back, how did they do that?
They've chronologically, there's no. But I'm saying his character is in it. And so I just find that is an interesting, like it's a cool.
Well, but see, that's an expansion, though.
See, that's what I'm saying. What's your opinion on that? Because I watched the first episode.
I still tend to be cynical, if only because I find that I'm less cynical off the bat because there's at least a chance with such things that there's actually a story to be told.
Right, it's original idea.
I suppose I'm cynical mostly because I also think that most people in film today just don't know what they're doing. So it's not that I suppose I don't reject it. I wouldn't reject it offhand. I would simply be cautious that ideologically, I am opposed to the concept of the How to Train Your Dragon remake. I don't care how good it is. I don't like that it exists. Because I think conceptually it's a flawed thing to do. A expansion to something I already like, generally I'm more cynical, not because I'm opposed to the idea, but simply because I don't think it'll be handled well. I'm not excited for Nintendo making a Legend of Zelda movie. And you might, 10 years ago, or probably more than that now, 15 years ago, I'd have been like jacked if I heard about that. And it's, in some ways, it's because I'm like, I don't think modern Hollywood knows what it's doing. So this idea, which I grant could have merit, I don't think will get the merit it could have. I don't think it will achieve what it could have been in a time when people were less crap. So that's more of the cynicism comes from almost I'm afraid that they'll screw it up, or I suspect that they will screw it up. Not that I think it shouldn't exist outright.
Sure.
So I'm not so much a fan of the John Wick universe that I would be all about this show, but I mean, if it's good.
It seems good so far. It's got very similar.
If they got the same level of action is the question.
Yeah, it does. It has.
Because here's the thing: we could talk about. I mean, that's a pivot.
I would say before we pivot, it's dark. Meaning not dark on
the films were not.
Not dark on a thematic level. The actual film style, it's almost like
Noir-y?
it's got a film.
Is it like a noir film or show?
But like for instance, there's certain there's a section in which he's like going and he's got to borrow this contacts car at one point, and of course it's like a cool classic car. And he's like, "Yeah, don't scratch it up." And I was literally looking at the screen, going, "I could barely see that car. Like, which one is it?" Because they're filming it so dark, meaning like
Well, it sounds. Is
the
it?
actual scene.
But that
itself
sounds
is
noir-like. Are they doing that on purpose? I presume.
I don't know. It's off-putting to me. It's obnoxious because I don't like trying to investigate while I'm watching a movie.
Well, but see, that's odd though. Unless you mean inspect, not investigate.
Well, okay. What I want.
Because I actually
I'm
like a film
looking
that
at
poses things that's
No,
weird
see,
and
that's,
makes me
thematic.
think.
That's not what I mean. What I'm saying is I don't want to be looking at a.
Well, but you do seem to like. You'd rather a film like. You don't like slow films. You've acknowledged.
Well, that's true, but again, that's conceptual. I'm talking about. I'm literally looking at a film, a frame on the screen, going, I cannot see what's supposed to be in this frame. Like pretty sure there's a silhouette of a guy and he's got a big knife. It's a little bit dark in that context, but overall, I think the action has been fairly good. I mean, you definitely have to keep a weathered eye for other things that aren't action.
Oh,
But
that's dumb. The films didn't have much of that.
well, I know, but of course they
Because here's what we could talk about. John Wick pivoting. No one else can do it.
except for John Wick.
Yeah, basically, because they're obviously because of the fact that
a
it
film about Donnie and
because of.
Wouldn't
But see,
you?
that's related though. That's still John Wick.
Well, that's
I don't
what I
mean John Wick the character. I mean John Wick the style of the movie. The thing about it is, it obviously anytime a new idea comes along and has tremendous success, you're going to have people that try to recreate it, and no one can. People talked up the film Nobody, which I was interested in because it stars Bob Odenkirk, who I like as an actor.
I'm trying to place his face, and I'm not.
Better Call Saul, that's him.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So it's like, I like him as an actor. I finally beat the fish-lipped lizards. I heard people talk about like, oh, it's like an action movie, and the premise, the synopsis, I think is misleading. Because what it is, it's a John Wick clone, fundamentally. The premise seemed like it was going to be more than that because it made an idea. The whole point of reason that it's called Nobody is the premise suggests it's like this ordinary kind of schlub guy, not very respected, kind of put upon by the world. Robbery at his house. He basically snaps, goes after these people himself, gets on this whole like revenge trial, gets involved with this whole gang network. And I'm thinking, interesting psychological thriller about a put upon everyman who just finally has enough one day.
Sure.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah.
But what it turns out, it's like, no, he's not actually a generic everyday schlub. He's a former CIA hitman who left to live a normal everyday life.
It's like that's been done 1,000
Yeah, it's like that's just John Wick, except he's CIA rather than whatever, the John Wick universe presents. So it's like
assassins.
Well, I mean, but like non-government hitmen, which chances are actually in the minority of hitmen. So it's like it felt. I don't want to fight any more of you. I was sort of disappointed in that change, and also, as much as I like Bob Odenkirk, I was like, I don't know that I buy the CIA backstory. Because he almost plays the schlub too well at the beginning. So to believe that's like, okay, he was actually a CIA hitman before this, I'm like, how did he get like this then? Because the only real backstory you get is like, well, one day he was sent to kill a guy who had left, who had like ran away, and he found him, and he was just living a regular life with a family, and he was like, I guess, compelled by that, and so we actually let him live, and then that's when he decided to leave and have his own family. It's like, okay, why did that turn you into a schlub? So I don't know. I guess I found it.
I feel like it would be an interesting story to literally just be like,
yeah, if it was
men
just
that just have had the freak
yeah,
enough.
that's effectively what Joker's about. Obviously, the Joker has more of there's a much heavier. Have you not seen Joker? You still haven't?
Talking about
the Joaquin Phoenix film?
No, I have not seen.
Well, you should, because it's basically about that. It obviously has another layer of like there's a mental component where he's already an unstable individual, but it is basically about when a man has enough. And I think there's plenty of men who've had enough. Who would like? I'd love a Silco movie about that. Exactly. If there was,
would be awesome.
If there was a Silco film starring Cillian Murphy about Silco having enough, I would wet my pants.
Cillian Murphy would probably nail that.
He already has. He's already played Silco once.
I mean, who would you have you like if you had actually like Jinx in that?
If it would have to be Ella. It would have to be Ella Purnell.
Well, yeah, that's
the only other person I forget. What's her name? Jenna Ortega could also pull it off, maybe.
No, I see that less.
Well, obviously you see it less because Ella Purnell is Jinx, so if anyone could pull it off, it would be her. But I mean, that's also for other reasons. I would just like to see her on screen again.
I just want to see her.
But Cillian Murphy as Silco, it's like, that's just brilliant.
Yes.
Like, that's just waiting to happen. But then again, even that, I'd be cynical if they were like, we're making a live-action Arcane. I'd be like, why? Okay, no. If they're making a live-action Arcane, I would say why, because of all things, even if, like, I take issue with the premise that, well, animation is inferior to live-action, therefore, if we just remade the same thing but live-action, it would be better because the animation was inferior. It's like, I reject that fundamentally just on its own, but with Arcane, that just falls utterly flat. It's like, no, this animation looks better than most live action does.
Yeah.
So don't try to sell me on that. If, however, they were going to do like an expanded thing that just happened to be live action, it was Silco played by Cillian Murphy, that I'd be all for.
Who would be Vander? Because obviously in the backstory, Vander's in it. That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gerard Butler.
You want to? He's old now, though.
He's old, but I mean.
But that's not a bad. That would work. My first thought, funnily enough, of course, it was actually be Tom Hardy.
Wow.
The problem is he doesn't match the physique. Not a dig on Tom Hardy. I mean, Vanders has to be big. That's his whole thing. And I don't just mean muscular. I mean like just large.
You could do the mountain.
Well, no, he's not really an actor. He's a strong man.
He's in.
Yeah, he's in that because of how large he is. He's not an actor before that. They got him to do that because he's enormous. Vander's not that huge. I don't want it to be The Rock. Please don't.
No, that would ruin the film. Even Cillian Murphy could not recover that.
I just had a thought. I don't know how I feel about it. I would rather John Cena to The Rock. I'm not sure that means I want John Cena. But I would rather John Cena to The Rock. John Cena's interesting to me.
The problem is John Cena
I don't think he's had a chance.
Face. I'm pretty sure he couldn't grow a chin pube if he tried.
Actually, well, Vander, when you see him without a beard, is babyface-ish. So if they just had to put a prosthetic beard on him, I'm like, it could work. But I'm not sure that he'd be my go-to pick. I'm not even. We're just going to talk about this. I don't want to play. I don't want to fight the hemorrhoids. That's tough.
I don't know who you would get for that.
I don't either. Tom Hardy could do it because Tom Hardy could do anything. He's just not necessarily the right build. He would have to be someone big-ish.
Hugh Jackman could probably do it okay.
Hugh Jackman's not that big either.
He got fairly yoked.
Yeah, but it's not just this. The thing about Vander is not just that he's bulked. It's that he's just big generally. He's a big dude. So he'd have to be played by it has to just be a tall, large guy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Jason Momoa. No. He could pull off
that idea.
He could pull off the look and he's got the size. I just don't know.
Did you see that movie?
No disagreement. No, I don't mean any disrespect to the guy, but I haven't seen his acting chops yet. He seems to play the same character.
Did you see?
Although people say he was good in Game of Thrones.
Aquaman or whatever it was.
Well, yeah, that's precisely what I wouldn't want.
Well, that's what I'm on about.
People said he was good in Game of Thrones, but was that simply because the character was so simple that he could play him? And again, I don't mean disrespect to the guy.
Wow.
I don't mean disrespect to him because I don't want him to smash my nuts, but...
Jeez.
Have you seen? Is this what he sounds like in that?
No, it's Psych. It's when he's on the Telemundo for one episode.
Why would you go to that from Jason Momoa?
Well, just the fact that it's like a one-off small little role that he has like maybe 2 lines.
I don't know. I don't know that I can answer this. I don't know if this hypothetical is going to actually lead us in any positive direction. I would actually, here's what I'd tell you I'd want. I'd accept.
Is a dinner with.
For other reasons, yes. I would actually be totally content with, because Riot does do this. In fact, they've done a book about Ambessa now, who I'm like, okay. Like, could we have. Not that I dislike her as a character, but it's like, okay, since we've set the precedent, can we get like a comic about Silco's backstory? Because I'll tell you, I've already thought about it. I'll work for free, Riot. I can't draw very well, but I mean, I could if you gave me a really long period of time. So I'd rather have access to better artists than me. But the idea I thought is, okay, it would have to at least contain 2 separate arcs. The first being, I want to know what happens between, like, I think it should start with the opening of episode 3 of the drowning sequence, and like that's the last time he and Vander see each other. That should be the opening. Strong opening, and then I want to know everything that happened after that. How does he build his criminal gang? And then I think for the narrative purposes, you'd end that arc with the ending of season 3 or episode 3, where he finds Jinx. And then I want the second arc to be everything that happens after that. I would, because that's something we didn't. I was among the people who was like, what I want to see in season 2 is at least a bit of that. And they gave us backstory, but it was pre-Jinx backstory. And I was like, well, that's cool to see as well. But like, I'm curious about, because you could.
How he was a dad?
Well, yeah, it's like, because obviously that would have no doubt been a odd transformation. And I think that would be fascinating to see. So if there was a comic, I would want it to at least contain those things. And there's precedent because Riot has comics and books and all sorts of other stuff. So, it's the Pahoehoe. I forgot that that's what these things were called. Either that or they're just saying horrible slurs.
Say, Paho!
Actually, no, I thought these things were called schists. Is that just what they're saying? So it is a slur. I mean, not that we're.
You had hemorrhoids that big coming at you, you'd say that too.
I mean, we do have a hoe in the group, so I suppose if they are hurling slurs, they're at least adjacent. Maybe they're just laughing. And 282 experience. Cool. That's it. Anyways,
Go up to the right.
Remakes and how they're no good and those things. And then how. See, again, I'd be skeptical if they did an arcane thing. It'd have to be Riot again. They're the only people I'd trust to do it. And they are talking about making other shows, but even then, again, there's just a part of me that's like, oh, mama, I don't want none of that. Oh, those things come back too. There's even a part of me that like, there's a certain, I guess it's just an expectation that anything good won't last because that's what reality has shown. It's like, yeah, the Marvel films were good too for a time, and then they just got obsessed with them and then they stopped being good. So even when Riot's like, hey, we're going to make other shows, I'm like, but are you going to spend as much effort on those as you did on this? Like, if you do, then okay, do that. Even if it's about characters I'm not interested in, I'd at least give you the chance because you have proved yourselves as writers. But if you stop caring as much, if it just becomes more projects to feed the machine, then no thanks.
The thing about Riot, though, is that they already have a sustainable business model in the actual game. So, I mean...
Well, that's actually the one thing people... It's like, the Riot, as I understand it, the Riot fandom is very much split on like, yeah, they do great. Everything else, too bad that they suck at the game. Not that the game itself sucks, but that like apparently they're... All of the scummy business practices that they engage in are directed at the game. Everything else they do fine. It's just the game is where all of the exploitative crap happens. Which, I mean, I suppose, not that I'm a League of Legends player, but from what I gather, League of Legends players would be like, the fan base can take it. They've put it up with it this far. We'll take on all that suffering so that the rest of you don't have to. It is funny how, after the rise in popularity of the show, it was the fans of the games who were like, yeah, don't bother. It wasn't like, oh, welcome, new fans. They're like, nah, we're going to do you a favor. Just don't. I don't want to fight two of you. Well, what form of mating dance do you reckon this is? Get the David Attenborough. Here in the thicket we see two cave apes prepared for mating ritual of a lifetime. In the foreground, a schist looks on pervingly.
Pervingly.
Look at those eyes. Those are lecherous eyes. Problem is, the schist is blocking the acorns that I have to climb on. Well, the problem I'm concerned with is if I do engage this fight, there's a good chance I get me backside walloped. Actually, I guess I'm doing fine with my tonic, so I'll just keep leveling up. I'm a spoiled modern gamer, but I would love a save button.
Swarthy, aren't they? They're just kind of back there leering.
Swarthy, I don't think is the word.
Yeah, it is.
Swarthy is like
dark and eerie, leering.
I don't think it means those things. I think it usually just refers to like being tan.
No, it's not tan.
It's like being of darker skin.
Well, no, it can mean complexion, but it also means like
I'm gonna do it
on a aura level, like they can have a.
I don't think I've ever heard someone use the word swarthy for an aura.
Yeah, it's like dark and
you have a swarthy aura.
Like he comes off as a dark, malevolent being. That's 100% a thing you can use swarthy for.
Okay.
Tolkien used it repeatedly.
Okay, I don't recall that. About who? We getting ourselves walloped.
There was a time that he applied.
Walloping! Walloping, bad.
Worm tongue.
She's just gonna have to be on 100% heal duty.
What's with the long...
Dadgummit! These okay, I didn't... Oh, that was actually pretty quick, although we're still down a guy. Because the problem is she can't heal. I had her set to do a heal, but she can't heal.
Why?
Because he's dead. He's not dead, but he's, out of commission, so she can't heal in this context. The rocks actually seem to be the biggest issue, is because when they throw the rocks, that's the high damage attack. I mean, they also do high damage other times. I need the whirl our auras. You have to pay extra for that in Taiwan.
Wow, I can't believe you just said that.
I don't think I meant Taiwan. I think I meant the other one.
I don't care where you meant.
What's the...
Thailand?
Is that where Bangkok is? No.
Yes.
Is it? What's the... Bangkok, Singapore. I was thinking of... That's what I was thinking of. Singapore, as in...
Bangkok.
You've never been to Singapore. I mean, Bangkok would have worked just as well. I'm sure it also would apply to Taiwan, too. I just, I don't want to insult the Taiwanese. They've got enough to deal with.
All right, well...
Flaming hemorrhoids.
You want to end with what you think about the...
I'm in the middle of a fight. We ain't ending.
Of World War III?
It doesn't seem that likely anymore.
Well, obviously, but...
We're not ending... With all the progress we've made, we're not ending until I either die or get a save point. That's the problem with these games. You can't just stop willy-nilly. You got to be committed. We're going to heal again. She has become the company medic.
Well, it's good to have medics.
If only we could all be so lucky.
At being the company medic?
No, Ed, if that was your... If you have a hole for your company medic, that's good for...
business.
It's good for efficiency and morale. There you go. Yay, Dan. And the whole level.
Dan?
Dad.
Hey, Dan.
Who's Dan in this analogy?
I don't know.
I just realized my mic has probably been a little bit too hot this whole time. So that's going to be fun to edit.
It's too hot. Hot Dan.
Hot Dan. Where they got him? I don't want to fight more hemorrhoid rocks. Can I avoid the hemorrhoid rocks? Maybe. Can I avoid this hemorrhoid rock? Mesomail. Okay, apparently I can avoid the hemorrhoid rocks.
Did you or a loved one ever open up a packet of mesothelium?
That's...
1-800
I don't
meso.
think... Is that the distribution method these days?
This just in.
No! None of you fish-lipped weirdos! No!
Avian Rex. Didn't we make a joke about this?
I made that joke literally earlier today, and you didn't remember it.
I did so.
No, I said a Scooby-Doo joke, and you were like, I don't remember that. And then I said you repressed it, and now you're trying to steal my thunder.
Thunder stolen.
I don't... Did you just hit him with a bottle? We're gonna... Literally, I'm not even looking at everyone's health. I'm just aura whirling and then attacking with whoever's left. Our chi is collectively going to rock the earth when we're done with this fight. It's because that hurts so much. I've got to just pump the roids. Pump up the roids. Pump them up. Keep the battle thumping. Seriously, I'm healing every step I get, and then anyone else who's left, I'm just going to use to attack. But I'm not falling for this. Oh, we're almost out of magic. He's going to need some help with his magic. All right, fine. He can do something other than aura. What have you got? What have you got? They're dropping me. I do not want to die at this point. Just whack him for one. I guess everybody take a turn, except you need to give this guy some magic juice so that he can keep aura whirling us. That was not a lot, but that'll do for now. We took out one. Everybody just spam the guy. I think she just hit him with her hips. You are a fish-lipped weirdo. There you go. Vicious mockery, that was. Took psychic damage. And I leveled up, too. There needs to be a save point soon. Built-in save points that are limited is actually only a step removed from those old NES games that just didn't save at all. You just had to play through it in one sitting or else you were screwed. This looks like either a boss battle's about to happen or I'm about to find a save point. I don't want this. I see a star off in the distance. You ain't gonna tell me I came all the way up here for nothing. If this was Zelda, I would...
Hardly for nothing. Look at that view.
This is Zen teaching. Does the guru put us up to this?
I know you're trying to be all mystical and kung fu-y. We almost lost a hoe over this.
This seems like the kind of flower I should interact with.
Go down the other way, you...
Well, I mean, what? I just get a different view? Each of us pick a promontory and strike a pose? I can't even go... Okay, I can't go this way. Well, obviously, what's the twinkling? Something twinkles. I don't even know if this is where I need to be. We went... I mean, we took at random just that this was where we're supposed to be because this is where we've always been. I actually have no way of knowing what the game intends. Like, what even is our mission? That seems like a thing I need to interact with. So help me if I came up all this way for nothing. Turn it to Jerry Seinfeld. I might... Okay. There's literally nowhere else I can go. Son, we're gonna have a problem. I don't... If this wasn't the way we're supposed to go, then there's probably not going to be a save point, which means all that we've done not only didn't serve a purpose, but will all be unwritten. Because the problem is, no doubt the last mission we did like 4 months ago gave us some clue about where we needed to go next. And I have absolutely no clue what that is anymore. And I guess we thought it was this because this was the only new time period that opened up. Well, I'm tempted to look up a wiki and be like, did I pick the wrong world? Did I pick the wrong time? I will be very much annoyed. I guess we've proven that it can be done.
Just need some pixie dust and to fly off straight on until morning, second star.
Well, where are we at? We need like 20 minutes if we're gonna fill it out into 2 episodes. Or are we just gonna call it one bonus long one? That's what they called me in high school.
I think just for that we ought to end it there.
That's your punishment for that. Well, sometimes when you fight tooth and nail to get up the top of a mountain,
all it is a view.
All it is the universe whizzing in your face.